welcome to March 2 of the pod presented by Eternal Roofing. They have roofing you can trust with your home, just like you trust us to talk about the Bearcat sports. This is season 3, episode 13. We're going to break down the New Mexico State game. I'm sorry ahead of time. And we're going to preview Jacksonville State. Again, I'm sorry ahead of time. We got to talk football. I'm Corey Hogue, your host, producer, once banned CatFans.com member who believes in family and Cats football losing on a technical knockout in the 5th round. You can find me on social media at Corey Hogue Sports, CORYHOGUE Sports. And don't forget to check out my new Substack, same name, CORYHOGUE Sports, CoreyHogueSports.substack.com for non-FBS football across Texas. As always, I'm joined by the wizard behind at Sports of SHSU. It's all one word on Twitter and Instagram. He's the COO of the Cat Fund and a proud Bearcat alum, Ben Sorrells. Benjamin, please, I beg you, tell me something positive. No, seriously, Ben, I need to hear something positive happening at Sam Houston.
Yeah, a couple little things. Soccer wrapped up its first half of Conference USA play, 2-1-1. Really encouraging signs there. They were 10 seconds away from being 2-0-2, but you take it. So that's an encouraging sign. The basketball, Johnson Arena, looking pretty good. The pictures that are coming out, that's an encouraging sign. That's actually happening. That'll be in there for the season and probably even the end of the volleyball season. And we had a great Cat Fund weekend with our auction casino night and golf tournament. Great turnout, great success. So a couple positive things to build on right there.
We got to have something, right? Not everything is negative. I get it. Look, it's a bad football season. I think we can all agree right now. This football season, and we kind of knew coming in a little bit, but it might even be worse than some of us expected. A lot of us, maybe. Even myself, and I didn't have high hopes, but good Lord, it got ugly last week. So we're going to start each podcast with something positive happening around Sam Houston when we have to discuss football. So there it is. There's your something positive. And let me tell you something else that's positive. Jason Pluckett said, practicing still. Man, I hope they are. Let me give you something else that's positive, and that is our friends over at Eternal Roofing and the work they do. Let's hear a little more about them.
Eternal Roofing and General Contracting is your choice for integrity work in the Texas Hill Country. Taylor Andrus and crew provide experienced quality roofing services with a mission of roofing with faith, serving with integrity, and sheltering homes in the spirit of stewardship. Don't just take our word for it. Here's what satisfied customer Pamela Allen had to say about Eternal Roofing. They did a great job on our patio roof, came out quick for a quote. The quote was very reasonable, and they started and finished work well and quickly. Not a bad thing to say about Eternal Roofing. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email them taylor@eternalroofingtx.com.
So last week, Cats made a trip, the football program did, to Las Cruces, New Mexico. Let's discuss. Sam Houston opened the game with a 12-play drive that gained 37 whole yards in 12 plays and ended with a missed 56-yard field goal attempt by R.J. Lopez. We will get into that later, I promise you. New Mexico State responded with 12 plays, and they covered a whopping 57 yards before they fumbled, and it was bad football at its best at that point. You knew, buckle up, get you some whiskey, right? You knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Really, what?
Well,
go ahead, Ben.
I was going to say, I guess if we're speaking positives, they found a way to get the ball to receivers on that first drive. Maybe not the rest of the game, but they did on that first drive. So I guess that's a positive.
Yeah, they did. Well, look, they got it out quickly to receivers a little more, and they got some yards out of that sometimes. Still in a running game, and we will discuss that as well here in a little bit. But Sam Houston, on the next drive, they got 22 yards in 6 plays. And then Curtis, is it Garand or Durand?
Durand, I think.
Okay, Curtis Durand launched this incredible 72-yard punt that forced the Aggies to start its next drive at its own 2-yard line.
The pipeline. Throw kick Australia, the training academy that Curtis Duran learned to punt. All the way back to TK King, who wants no part of it. And this is going to be an outstanding punt.
Well, he says Durand. He probably doesn't know. I say Durand. And you know what? What impressed me about that, outside the fact that what a punt, man. He got a leg and a great roll into that. And that's not just by happenstance. That takes a lot of practice to get those rolls to go. But I want to give some kudos to Quan Williams for hustling down there and making sure that ball stopped. Because if he wasn't there and he wasn't hustling, that's a touchback, and that would have been a darn shame.
Yeah, it was really close to being a touchback. And even just in the air, that punt was 52 yards just in the air. It was impressive. And he's a true freshman. He's been really good this year, been one of the bright spots. I mean, obviously you don't want your punter to be a bright spot, but he's done a really good job, and it's an encouraging sign for him.
Yeah, I'd rather my punter be on the sideline, but, we don't have that luxury this year. So, on their next drive, the Aggies get on the board, 15 plays, 87 yards. It took 8 minutes and 20 seconds off the clock. Your defense is on the field for over 8 minutes. The good news on that, they only gave up a 28-yard field goal, which is like, why are you kicking a field goal if it's from 28 yards? But they did. That's fine. The Aggies take a 3-0 lead midway through the second quarter. But then the offense on their next drive, after the defense spent 8 minutes and 20 seconds on the field, they went 3 and out.
Yeah.
And New Mexico State then extended its lead with a 5-play, 53-yard drive that ended with Logan Fife on a 1-yard touchdown run. But hey, look, the Cats aren't going to be held off the scoreboard in the first half. And they had another 8-play, 42-yard drive. Okay, that's respectable. And it ended in a 51-yard field goal attempt from Christian Pavon on his birthday.
He was nailing field goals from 60-plus earlier today. And from 51, it is good.
Okay, and we're going to talk about this again in a little bit. I don't know if you really heard, but Christian Pavon comes out to kick the 51-yarder, and he nails it. And the broadcaster, I don't think it was Taylor McCarthy that said this, but one of them said he was hitting from 60 yards in the pregame. Let's put that in our memory bank for when we get through this little review right here.
Yeah, we'll definitely hit on it more, but I'm so happy for Christian Pavon. Had the yips last year, and it's just so good to see him have some success. The team's not great, but it's just really good to see him kind of have a nice little comeback story.
Yeah, I thought, like I said, he didn't. Last year, he took a lot of heat, and he nailed that field goal, put the Cats within 10-3. And that's how it was at the halftime. Going into the locker room, you don't feel great, but you don't feel bad either, Ben.
Yeah, I get the sentiment because it's a one-possession game, so you're still definitely in it. But it was a one-possession game for 3 quarters, but it really never felt like Sam Houston was in it or had a shot to overtake New Mexico State. I don't know if you got that feeling too, but New Mexico State fumbled at their 2. The offense was just moving at will. The defense couldn't get off the field. Our offense couldn't sustain drives. So you were close, but it really never felt like you were that close, in my opinion.
But the defense was holding them out of the end zone. That's what I took away from the first half.
And the defense, I know we talked about it a few weeks ago. The results still have not been great, but I think they're getting better. And they 37-10 or whatever was the final score, but I think 14 of those points weren't on the defense because there was a muff kick at the 1-yard line and then a pick 6. So the defense really only gave up 23 points. I think we've seen a little bit of improvement on that side of the ball.
And they only gave up 353 yards.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not bad. What the
progress.
Defense did is enough to win a football game last week.
Yeah, 23 points given up. It's nothing spectacular, but I mean, you got to give the defensive staff some credit. You've seen progress on that side of the ball.
Yeah, hey, look, the defense I thought played well, and that was if I held hope at halftime as I was finishing the first whiskey, it was because the defense was playing well.
Right.
So, hey, come out in the second half. If you get off the field, you get a drive, something good happening, maybe we get some momentum started and we could turn this game into a Bearcat win like we all predicted. And, hey, look what happened. The Aggies opened up and they had to punt. And then Sam Houston took the ball, drove 13 plays, 64 yards, another very respectable drive. They got down to the 19-yard line. And then an ill-advised backward pass, fumble, recovered by New Mexico State. Same song, same dance, killing yourselves with turnovers. And there were 3 of them, and all 3 of them really, in my opinion, proved very costly.
Oh, huge. Every single one of them led to a score for the other team pretty much. Directly.
I would say all 4. I would say there's a 4th turnover that doesn't count as an actual turnover on the kickoff here coming up in a minute. But we'll get there in a second.
Yeah.
The offense showed life and then stabbed us. And the Aggies cashed in 6 plays, 66 yards later. When I first saw that in the box score, I went, ooh, that's a bad number. 6 plays, 66 yards. And it ended in a 32-yard field goal and gave New Mexico State a 13-3 lead. But the Cats weren't done. That offense responded again on the next drive. And they got into the end zone this time when Alton McCaskill took this pass from Hunter Watson, 15 yards, that pulled Sam Houston within 13-10 at the end of the third quarter.
Watson to throw. He gets it to his running back, McCaskill. Past the 10, 5, into the end zone for a touchdown. Alton McCaskill puts a touchdown on the board for the Bearcats.
Okay, the pass wasn't impressive outside the fact that, hey, thank you, Hunter Watson, for putting it on his hands when he's open in the flat.
Yeah.
But what I really liked on that play, though, was the blocking downfield, especially from the wide receivers. I thought they did outstanding on that. And if you have a hard time getting the running game going, which the Cats did, those are plays that you can use your running backs and get – because, look, your running backs are some of your most explosive players on your team, on your offense. They always are. You got to get them the ball in space. They did that there, and it paid off with a touchdown and pulled them within 3.
Yeah, it was good to have Alton back. He was the featured back with Elijah Green out. It sounds like Elijah Green should be back this week. But, yeah, they run that play a lot where you just swing the running back out to the open side of the field. You got 3 blockers over there, and you just kind of let them run. And it's typically been like an 8 to 10-yard play. They used it a ton against Texas. It felt like they run it over and over again that game because it was kind of all you had success doing. But, yeah, it works, especially against a team like New Mexico State, and I'm sure we'll see more of that kind of formation and alignment going forward.
Man, I tell you, they learned a lot from that game against Sam Houston because they went out to Florida and played great, them Longhorns did.
They did. Brought home a nice L.
Well, look, I grew up a Texas fan, but even going into that game, I was like, yeah, they're going to lose this one.
Yeah.
The Aggies then scored a touchdown. They responded 8 plays, 75 yards on their next drive. That's a really impressive drive. Extended their lead to 20-10. Then the damn wheels came off. Special teams miscue on the kickoff. I had just said in our chat that we were having that I like the NFL kickoff rule because it makes you return the ball usually, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I'd like to see that in college. So New Mexico State short field, they did it. They did that NFL kickoff rule thing where they make you field it. The problem is Sam Houston didn't field the ball. New Mexico State recovered at their 2-yard line, and I'm heading for my 3rd and 4th whiskey now because that's just too much for me to do.
Yeah, and it was probably a play. It would have landed in bounds, but I think it would have rolled out of bounds. And if it rolls out, then it's kick out of bounds. You get it at the 35 or whatever. But, yeah, you've got to either field the ball and take off or let it roll through the end zone, let it roll out of bounds. You just cannot have a play like that happen. When it happened, you knew it was over. I mean, you got the feeling it was done. And Longo said that post-game, too. It kind of deflated everyone.
No, it was. It was deflating for everybody. I think it was at that point that we were like, what in the world is happening to the Cats? Then another field goal and a pick 6 for New Mexico State, and Sam Houston falls to 0-5 with a 5th-round knockout, technical knockout, and a disheartening 37-10 loss. in Las Cruces. Speaking of Coach Phil Longo's thoughts from Tuesday's game, he talked about that in the press conference on the Bearcat Sports Network. This is about 2.5 minutes long. I want to give you a heads up on that, and we will discuss what he talks about coming out.
From the New Mexico State game, that was a tough one to lose because we had just a great opportunity to win it. You know, we went into the fourth quarter. If you were down on the sideline heading into the fourth quarter, what I was really pleased to see was there was legitimate morale and confidence, and I don't think anybody had any doubt that we had an opportunity to go win the ball game. And then the kick return deal was a little deflating, I thought. And we played hard for the rest of the quarter, but we just we had a. I think there was a major turn there. That was a huge turning point for us. And so more disappointing this time because I thought this was, we had a chance to win the first three. We're in a position in those games to, I think teams have a chance to flex their muscles in a certain part of the second half when they feel like they can go make some plays and win the game and just try and dominate the fourth quarter and finish the right way. And I thought that was more available to us in this game than it was in any other game. So I was disappointed after the game that we weren't able to get that done. The other thing that resonated with me was there was a renewed confidence offensively, and I thought we moved the ball steadily. We did not finish some drives, but I just thought we played with more confidence. We did some more things. We executed. We had far fewer mistakes. The mistakes we did make really were the drive stoppers. But New Mexico State was the first team that decided to play us a little deeper, force us to, put together longer play drives and make us play disciplined football, which we have struggled with at times on offense. And, we were able to do that. We had 2 12 or 13 play drives. Most of our drives were 6, 7, 8 plays all the way through the game. And I want to finish those things, but I did see more production. I did see better play out of our skill guys, and probably the most consistent game that Hunter has had this season. So those were the two things that stood out after the game to me. Typically you see things differently once you watch the film, but those are probably two of the biggest things that still stood out to myself and our staff.
So the offense showed so much more confidence and gained a grand total of 313 yards, and 69 of those were on the ground. And listen, I'm with you. 12, 13 play drives, those are great. And 8 play drives, outstanding. The problem is those drives were because they were getting 2 and 3 first downs and we're having to go for it on 3rd and long or 4th and short.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could call it a step in the right direction, but at the end of the day, you're not scoring points, so it's hard to call it a step in the right direction. You still got turnovers, you can't finish the drive, and I know we mentioned a couple times in the press conference and in that clip too that it was Hunter's best game, and it might have been, but at the end of the day, you got to put up points, and that's what you're judged on, and right now you're just not doing it.
No, you're not. And also, who is the starting kicker now? That question was posed to Phil Longo, and here's what he had to say about the kickers.
So RJ is our starting kicker from a certain line in, and that gets decided on game day based on the weather and all that. And then Christian is our big leg, and that's why he kicked that field goal. But so as of right now, that's pretty much the role for the two of them.
Riddle me this, Benjamin. If RJ is your starting kicker, okay, from a certain distance based on conditions when we get to the field and see what's happening before the game. Okay, I get that. And Pavon is your big leg, long distance kicker. I have to keep it clean and not use the words that actually I would love to say. Why in the ever-living, flipping world would you send Lopez out for a 57-yard field goal on the opening drive when you heard the announcer saying Pavon was hitting him from 60 and Pavon's your big leg guy? what are we doing?
And then you send Pavon out for a field goal of less than 57 at 51 yards. It really didn't make a lot of sense. And I made an additional tweet. Because I put out the thing that said that Lopez, is the starter from a certain distance in, but Pavon is the distance guy. And then I quoted it for what it's worth. Lopez missed the 56, 57-yarder, but Pavon kicked the 51-yarder and made it. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Maybe it's their new strategy as of this week. Maybe that's something they just figured out, but it sounded like, based on the clip, that was their strategy coming into the game, but that's not the way it played out. And honestly, at this point, I think Christian might be the better kicker. He's looked great this year on kickoffs. That was a big struggle for him last year. He's looked good on the field goals and extra points so far. So, yeah, I do not know what's going on at the kicker position, and it's hard to believe what he says with the distances when you're doing the complete inverse.
Yes. Unless this is something that you suddenly came to. And the other thing I want to say is this, and this is one of those coaching things that does matter, because you're dealing with people, you're dealing with humans, and they have feelings and they have emotions. I don't care what you say about how much you don't, you do. Now, you've got R.J. Lopez that you send out there for a 57-yard try, knowing good and well he's going to barely make the end zone with it. And then you pull him and put Pavon in for the 51-yarder. RJ's confidence has got to be shot.
Yeah.
And how is that going to work going forward if he's your shorter yardage kicker? There is just no sense in that kind of logic and thinking at all. I don't understand. And I mean, I'm not sure we're going to get another good answer on it, but I have no idea what to think about that situation.
Very intrigued to see how it plays out. And I feel like those decisions ultimately come down to your special teams coordinator. They're the ones that have to figure those things out, and maybe they're not on the same page. They got to get on the same page, but your special teams coordinator is also your inside receivers coach and the associate head coach. So, and I know it's a guy Longo really trusts in Coach Raisbeck, but at the end of the day, I mean, you got to find a plan and stick to it, or I don't know. It's just very confusing. It does not make sense.
That dude's got 50 jobs out there. It's
Yeah,
that's not fair. There's a lot of things about it. Look, again, I'm not saying it's all on Longo, or I'm not even going to put it all on the special teams coach, but you bring up a great point. You're 100% right. This is something you should have been on the same page about before you entered New Mexico State 5th game of the season.
Yeah, and I'm a Texans fan, being from Houston, obviously. It is what it is. There was a clip of D'Amico Ryans in the game 2 weeks ago. It's a third down, third and long, and he tells the special teams coordinator, hey, what distance do we need to get to kick this ball here? And the special teams coordinator says we have to get it to this distance or you got to punt it. And are you able to have those conversations with your special teams coordinator when he's coaching the receivers out there? You know what I mean? You got to be on the same page. There's just a lot of misalignment, I feel like, when it comes to the coaching staff.
Can you have those conversations? I'm going to tell you yes, because you have a headset.
But I know I agree, but if you're so focused on the receivers, you and the head coach might not be on the same page.
I get that, but see, now that's where I'm going to say Longo's job is to think ahead of that, right? And part of the problem is, what's Longo focused on? He's focused on being offensive coordinator and calling the next play. So you don't have anybody fully thinking of game management when the offense is on the field.
Are we ready for that conversation of Longo? I mean, not for him as a head coach as a whole, but on the defensive side of the ball?
We are going to have a long conversation at the end of this season, a review, and we are going to discuss those things as to be offensive coordinator. Should it remain Longo? What should happen moving forward? Not that we have any say, but we're at least going to discuss a lot of those things. But we still have another 7 rounds of fights left.
No, I agree, and I don't want to hit on it too much, but it's frustrating when your defense gets a delay of game penalty on the first play of a drive and your head coach is sitting with the quarterbacks on the bench. It's just it frustrates me when I see that. You got to be a game manager. You can't just be the quarterback coach.
Well, and your defensive coordinator's got to make sure that doesn't happen as well.
I agree.
If you're enjoying the show, help us grow with rating, reviewing March to the Pod on wherever you find us, your favorite podcast platform. It truly does make a difference. And don't forget, we're on Substack now. We have a Substack page, marchtothepod.substack.com. And find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube by searching at March to the Pod. It's all one word, March the number 2, the Pod. Also, we're proud to be part of the Conference USA Podcast Roundtable, featuring shows from all 12 CUSA programs. Before we get into previewing the next game against Jacksonville State tomorrow night on Thursday, let's listen to another word from our friends over at Eternal Roofing.
Eternal Roofing only uses the finest materials in the roofing business while providing an exceptional warranty. Why do they use CertainTeed products? Because they complement any appearance, provide exceptional and reliable strength, and are known for their enduring performance. Here's what Shane Sosa had to say about Eternal Roofing. Taylor and his team are amongst the highest level of professionals. They care about their customers and go above and beyond just doing the job. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539 or email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com.
Okay, Benjamin, it's time to turn our attention off of that disaster in Las Cruces and get ready for a quote-unquote home game at Shell Energy Thursday night, 7 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. The Bearcats are facing the Kickin' Chickens.
They are.
Old rivalry renewed from the FCS days, and the Gamecocks lead the series 7-6. They have won both meetings as FBS teams. They are seeking their first road win under first-year head coach Charles Kelly, but they are an impressive 7-1 in weekday USA games, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, they've been a very complete team both years in Conference USA to this point. Won the conference last year. Pretty good team again this year. It's been impressive what they've done as a whole during their 2.5 years in Conference USA.
Gamecocks entered 2-3 overall, 1-0 in conference. Again, I mentioned first season under head coach Charles Kelly, who is in his first season as a collegiate head coach. Gamecocks have converted 50% or more on third down in their last 4 games, and they have scored on 21 of 23 trips inside the red zone this season. They are 6th nationally, an impressive 6th nationally, rushing yards per game at 261.4, and they are led by junior running back Cam Cook from checks notes. Stony Point High School in Round Rock, who he has put up himself 614 yards and 5 touchdowns and is averaging 5.5 yards per carry this season. Obviously, he's going to be someone you watch, and here's what head coach Phil Longo had to say about Cam Cook.
You know, Cook is a player now. I mean, he's probably their biggest weapon. You know, I think everybody that plays them knows you got to slow down that cat in order to have a good day defensively against them. And, you know, I don't know what the carousel is all about at Jack State. They're doing what they need to do to win games. It's working for them right now. And usually when we do it, it's because we feel like we have 2 weapons. The other games where we played more than one have all been injury-driven. So, you know, I can't answer what Jack State's doing with those guys, but I just know on our end we've got to be ready for the 2 of them. But in the meantime, Cook's out there with either one of them, and in my opinion, that's their number 1 weapon offensively, and so he's got to be the emphasis.
Okay, so he took that question in 3 different directions. He did the weave. Anyway, he's talking about Cam Cook. Then he starts talking about the quarterback situation at Jacksonville State, how they rotate a couple of guys, and they do. They have Gavin Wimsatt and Caden Creel. You will see both of those. So outside of what he just said, let's listen to what Phil Longo has to say about facing both quarterbacks this week.
When they're alike, it doesn't make a big deal. When one's a great drop back passer and the other one is a runner, then even though you may have an idea as to what the emphasis is going to be when one quarterback is on the field as opposed to the other, it doesn't change the fact that during the week, you have to emphasize both. And so you've got to have a plan for a running quarterback. You have to have a plan for a really good passer. When the two quarterbacks are more similar and they have similar strengths, it's not as problematic because you're still defending the same type of quarterback. So really that is what will differentiate how we prepare for two quarterbacks from one week to the next.
Okay, Benjamin, before we get into talking about potential injury reports, and I think we've learned you can't trust in one of those things right now, tell us your thoughts on this quarterback situation, because this quarterback situation, let's face it, gets a lot of talk around Jacksonville State. It has been the talk of the whole season when, in my opinion, the running back and that ground game has been what you should focus on. Why is there so much consternation around their quarterback situation?
Yeah, you brought in Gavin Wimsatt from Kentucky. He was supposed to be the guy for Jack State. Just didn't really pan out. His arm is just a really big question. And then you got Caden Creel, who saw a little bit of time against Murray State, but really burst on the scene against Southern Miss. A game that they lost, but the offense looked pretty good. He had over 150 yards passing and rushing. So you saw Creel for the first time in a big role against Southern Miss, and he looked really good, looked better than Wimsatt has. And so I think that's where the quarterback discussion comes into play. I think he's a little bit better of a passer than Wimsatt, and that was always the big knock on him coming in to this year at Jacksonville State. So I bet we see both guys in some capacity. It wouldn't surprise me, but like Longo said, they do pretty similar things. They're both really dynamic with their legs. The offense is focused a lot around the run game, especially with Cam Cook. So we'll see both. Shouldn't be too difficult to prepare for them depending on the guy. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of running with Cam Cook and whoever the quarterback's going to be.
You know what I hear when I hear you say a lot of running?
What's that?
Quicker game, man. Running the ball keeps that clock moving.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hey, this is a 7:00 game, so I may not have to be up quite so late this week.
Earliest kick since Texas.
Jesus criminy. All right, tell me about the Gamecocks defense. How does Sam Houston kind of stack up against that side of the ball?
Yeah, it's a group like Sam Houston that got completely gutted last year. Jack State kind of as a whole, especially on the defensive side. They've had some ups and downs. You gave up 17 to UCF, who's turned out to actually be a decent team. You held Liberty down to 24, but then you also had Southern Miss and Georgia Southern score 40-plus on you. So I think teams might be starting to figure them out a little bit. Is the Sam Houston offense going to be able to figure them out? I'm not too sure. I think you need some sort of ground attack to do that, and it just really hasn't been there for Sam Houston. So it's an okay defense for Jack State. It's flashed. It's been susceptible the last few weeks to giving up a lot of points. But, yeah, the way the Sam Houston offense is playing, it's hard to be optimistic coming into this week, even against the Jack State defense that has some holes.
Well, and their one conference game against a Liberty team that, I mean, how do you view Liberty? Are they still top tier, maybe mid-tier?
They're mid-tier until they can prove something else.
Okay, mid-tier. That is still a tier above where Sam Houston sits right now, and they won that game. So I kind of do you put Jack State in kind of that same mid-tier category right now?
I do. I think WKU up at the top, Louisiana Tech, those are probably your top two. Missouri State, Delaware, Kennesaw, Liberty, they're probably your middle of the pack teams. So, and then Jack State is also in there too. They're definitely not the top two, but Jack State's probably the 3, 4, 5. They're one of those teams for me right now.
Man, I should really have you picking those games on our podcast roundtable over there on March the Pod, huh?
Oh yeah.
Oof, I really should, but I don't. All right. We're going to come back. We're going to have our predictions for this game. We're going to tell you what happened. We're going to review last game as far as where we stand on the season and tell you what we think is going to happen this week. But first, let's Let's hear another word from our friends over at Eternal Roofing.
Eternal Roofing is locally owned and dedicated to giving back to the community by supporting local organizations and charities. They are also the winner of Next Door's Neighborhood Faves for 2 consecutive years. And as you know, if you've listened to this podcast, Eternal Roofing is your choice for Christmas lights. They provide premium lights tailored to fit your home, season-long maintenance, and hassle-free removal. Kyle Tatum said, "They're very professional and great quality, on time and clean, and really made me feel like they cared for me and my home." Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com.
Okay, Benjamin, before we get into some cat fun talk and you can tell us more about that fantastic weekend, I want to put up this comment that Chris Gilstrap watching on Facebook. Thank you very much to everyone watching and listening. And if you want to watch live, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter is where you can find us. Chris said Cats offense is only scoring 15 points per game. Yes, that's factual. And converting about 3.5% of third down. Okay, a little higher, 10% of third downs. I think it's time to find out what the other QBs can do, Landon Locke and DJ Bailey. My thought on this is, Chris, I'm willing to try any darn thing to see if we can get at least a few damn points.
Yeah, I think Hunter's probably the more talented guy, more game-ready guy than those two, and even Mabry. But at some point, you got to start prepared for the future, seeing what you have in those two guys in Mabry, because it can't be any worse than this, and you might as well build for the future, see what you have, see who might be the guy. So, I mean, I think Hunter still gives you the best chance to win, but at some point you got to move towards the future and see what you have, and it can't be any worse than it is right now.
Josh, watching on YouTube, just added, Longo unfortunately didn't have the time or staff to really put a team together. That's true. But one thing, and this is something, again, that right now we're halfway through the season. We're almost halfway. This game will be halfway through the season. At the end of the year, we're going to do this look back, and we're going to talk about, did he have the time to put the staff? And we know it was short. We've all said that. We knew the shortcomings coming in. We knew it was going to be tough. My question that we are going to look at from now moving to the end of the season is, are you seeing anything that shows improvement in this team from week to week? And I don't know that we're there yet.
Yeah, and even I think we both had very tempered expectations coming into this year, but it's even been below our expectations, which has been disappointing. But even with that, as much as we don't like it and what really is going on, you still cannot make any rash decisions or anything based off of this year, based on exactly what the comment there just said. Now, if this continues into next year, which it very well might, who knows, maybe it gets turned around. If it continues into next year, then I think you can start to have some of these hard conversations. So it's not fun right now. I don't know if it's going to get any better, but you can't make any rash decisions just based on this year.
Chris said the defense is improving, but the offense absolutely not, which is concerning.
100%. Yeah, that's
we
what
agree.
We said earlier.
Yep, we agree. So we need some positive stuff. We'll come back to these comments in just a minute, I promise you. But first, we need Benjamin to tell us about the great weekend they had and what else is coming up on the Cat Fund.
Yeah, had a great weekend with the Cats for our men's basketball team. Raised a lot of money for them. Got to see a lot of different people. You can sign up and be a part of what we're doing at cat-fund.com. We'll have some other events in the next couple months. We also had our baseball recap of the A&M game. Had an article put up. I got to talk with the staff on Saturday after the game. Results from a numbers perspective might not have been what you wanted, but there were definitely some flashes of good and some reasons to be much more encouraged this year compared to last year. So sign up, support these athletes as little as $10 a month, get involved, and hopefully we'll see you at one of our events coming up.
Cats supporting cats. We love to see it. And yeah, that's good news. A little more good news injected into the podcast. Jason Plotkin watching on YouTube asked, how surprised are we that both Liberty and UTEP are 1-4 heading into tonight? I will go first because I know Benjamin probably has a lot more educated take than I do on this. UTEP-wise, I bought into some Scotty Walden hype. I think he's proven that hype was overrated, and now UTEP is still UTEP, and they will continue to be UTEP until they now prove otherwise. Liberty 1-4, that one does surprise me to see that program kind of taking some steps back right now. What do you think?
I agree. It's almost the same sentiment on my end. I believed in a lot of the upside for UTEP, but I knew there was still a pretty low floor. High ceiling, low floor is kind of what I thought. So 1-4 is surprising, but it's not too shocking. Liberty's a huge surprise. And I mean, at what point does Jamie Chadwell start to feel some heat? Because last year was a disappointment with them, and this has just been really bad. And I mean, you lose tonight's game, you still got some other really tough games on the schedule. So yeah, it's shocking that both of them are, the combination of them. Maybe not UTEP, but Liberty and UTEP. It's pretty shocking.
I will say that Liberty is a program that has always, from the start, no matter what level they played, they have always expected to be good and to win and dominate at their level.
And you have the highest paid G5 coach in the country, and you just cannot have 1-4.
Well, you can, but I certainly wouldn't recommend it.
Me neither. Wouldn't recommend 0-5 either.
All right, before we get into the predictions this week, let's do a recap of our predictions. If you got any more questions, drop them in here. We got some time to pick up on them, and we will answer them. Or comments, we will take those as well, even about, my certified Sam Hater status. Last week, Sam Houston entered the game as a 2.5-point favorite. The total was 52.5. We were buying some Kool-Aid last week a little bit, Benjamin. You had the Cats winning 23-22, so you had New Mexico State covering, and you had the under, right?
Yeah, 2-0 somehow.
Somehow. Are you really 5-0 on the season?
I'm 9-1 this year between the two picks through 5 games.
That's true. Jesus. Well, I drank even more Kool-Aid. I had Sam Houston covering 31-27. I had 58 points. It could have happened if Sam Houston had a little more offense.
Maybe you put in your long-distance kicker for long-distance kicks. That might have helped too.
Yes, it does help if your long-distance kicker is kicking a 57-yarder. Just saying. Lord. That's one, I mean, yeah. Anyway. Ben, 5-0 against the spread. 4-1 total. I'm 2-3 against the spread, 1-4 on the totals. So combined, we're winning you a little money. If you just follow Ben, you're winning a whole heck of a lot more money.
Paid off the house, quit the job, living on a beach somewhere. That's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm not making you a dime, which is my whole point of living, right?
You got him working overtime.
I've got you furloughed with no back pay.
Yeah.
Anyway, this week, Sam Houston at Jacksonville State again, 7 p.m. Thursday on CBS Sports Network. The line opened as Jacksonville State 8.5-point favorites. They had the total at 54.5. After some thought, they got the Gamecocks down to 7. That's got to be because they don't really feel confident about Jacksonville State right now, I would think. And they bumped that total up 0.5 point to 55, which makes me happy, so I don't have quarters and whatever halves coming into the projection, which is the projection via Bet365 is Jack State 31, Sam Houston 24. Okay, Benjamin, what say you?
Yeah, let's keep the heater going, I guess. I've got Jack State 31. That was the number I had coming into this, actually. Sam Houston 13. I think we all know Jacksonville State's probably a more talented team. They're also coming in off a bye. It's a 12-day gap in games for them, which I think helps. And just from what I'm hearing in Longo's press conference, it sounds like we're starting to lose the locker room, and I don't think that's a good sign. So give me Sam Houston to lose 31-13 and Jacksonville State to cover, and we're going under.
Yeah, you know what? I'm changing my score here all of a sudden. Not because of anything you say, because I was just sitting here thinking the defense is getting better, right?
Yep.
The offense is not at all. It may be going the other way, actually. But I think that defense getting better, I got to give that some credit in this. So I have Jacksonville State winning 38-13. I think they get an extra touchdown here. And so that gives, let's see, how many points is that? 51. That's still on the under. So we both have Jack State covering. We both have the under, and we both have it a much larger spread than what Vegas has.
We do, which means I'm definitely going to lose now because Corey agreed with my pick. So
you want to know what's interesting about that?
Huh.
I had it 45-13, so I had it cover and over. And I was like, that defense, though, we were talking about it. I think, they're playing better. So I changed it. So, yeah.
Yeah,
there you go.
31-13, and who knows, 7 of those points could be Sam Houston turning it over and Jacksonville State scoring on defense. Because the defense gave up 23 points last week. So
yeah, no, the defense didn't play bad, but this is a better This offense is better than the offense they played last week as well.
Yeah.
All right. Some questions, some comments coming in. We've got some time here at the end of the podcast. Chris Gilstrap, again, watching on Facebook, says, what gives with the offensive line? Dietrich, Larson, and Don are 3 of the top-ranked O-linemen in CUSA. That was a little bit discussed in the press conference yesterday.
Yeah, shuffling.
And so what is going on with that offensive line?
Yeah, so the left side has been really rough this year, and you've got 3 guys that are playing at a really high level and 2 guys that are just not, and that's what it comes down to. And you moved Rhett from the right side to the left side at guard, trying to help a little bit. And you also rotated in William McCollum a little bit with Meach Joseph. Luke Eckert has struggled too. So for the majority of the season, Joseph Eckert over on the left side has just been really, really bad. Then the right side's playing well. So you got to have all 5 guys playing together. You've got 3 playing really well, and you've got 2 spots that are just massive question marks, especially on the left side. Which doesn't help. That's the blind side. So you got to have all 5 guys together. And I was actually talking to someone about that yesterday because the PFF grades have been coming out and all that stuff. So the left side's got to figure it out to some degree. You've got to find a 4th or 5th guy.
Yeah, look, the most important. Every position is important on the offensive line. Let's start there. But if you don't have a left tackle that can keep your right-handed quarterback clean, or a right tackle to keep your left-handed quarterback clean, you're going to have problems.
Yeah.
And there are many problems. And then if you don't have an offensive line that can get push in a running game, you're going to have problems. There are many things wrong with this offensive line. How do you fix it? I don't know that there is a fix right now.
It's interesting because Kevin Kalanji, I mean, I've stood next to him in person. He was the backup swing tackle at Maryland last year. I think he's got the stuff to play at this level. He just has not really played at all. And you've got a massive hole at left tackle. I think you've got to try him there. Or Colt Dietrich played left tackle a lot last year. He's at right this year. Do you move him back and then try to shuffle things around on the right side and try to figure things out? You got to try something because there's just 2 glaring holes on the offensive line, especially on the left-handed side.
If a guy's getting beat over and over and over again, you've got to make a change unless the backup is far behind. And I just don't think that's the case right now. I think the 6 and 7 is probably as close, if not a little better, than the 4 and 5 guys on the offensive line.
And another thing you could do too is Cam Todd, who started at center the first 2 games, was okay. Nothing great. Do you put him back at center, then maybe put James Dawn at left guard, where he played right guard a ton the last 2 years. Maybe he could play some left guard. So I don't know. You've got to figure something out because you've got 3 guys that are playing really well, and you've just got to figure out the other 2 spots.
I will take okay over what we're seeing.
Yeah.
Do you think we will see any changes tomorrow night when it comes to the setup of the offensive line?
I do wonder if they keep Larson at left guard, because they moved him over there this last week to try to create some continuity on the left side. So maybe it worked a little bit, because you said you maintained drives a little bit more, had some more confidence. So maybe you keep him on the left side, and you move Joseph and McCollum over to the right side and have them rotate out at the guard position. It's really a turnstile, but there's a bunch of different combinations. I've come up with like 3 different possibilities. You play Kalanji, maybe you move Don back out to guard, maybe you keep Larson at left guard and try to figure things out at right guard with Don. Maybe, I don't know. You got to try something.
So what happens if you don't? What happens if tomorrow you go out and they've got the same guys and we get the same results? What happens at that point?
You don't score points. and I mean, and another problem is Quentin Williams, and I haven't even posted this publicly. Quentin Williams, one of the offensive line transfers that people were really high on, is no longer with the team. So you lose some depth there, which isn't good, but I think you've got to find a space for Kalanji. Logan Cahill, Joseph, it's not been good. Logan Cahill, a true freshman who's got size to play at this level. We really haven't seen him. Do you throw him out there to get some experience? Throw him in for 4 games, see what you have?
Does it hurt?
Yeah, I don't think it hurts. He was a part of that Prospero line last year, so he's a big boy that can play. So you got to figure something out.
He's one that you can play in 4 games and still redshirt. Take advantage of those rules.
Right.
And now's the time. I mean, these are the conference games. You're not putting them out there against Texas.
No.
Right? That wouldn't be smart. You're not putting them out there against UNLV and all. No. But now's yes. You got to see what he can do if he's Conference USA level.
Yeah. Jack State, Delaware, Kennesaw, those kind of games.
Yeah. Let's see it. Let's see it again. Let's see him against UTEP, right? Right now, you're at the bottom with UTEP.
Yeah, and it's similar to the thought process with the quarterback position. At what point do you just start throwing your young guys in there for 4 games and see what you have? And they maintain the red shirt.
Landon Locke did not look bad when he came in. Yeah, no. I know it was just like 1 drive or so, but good Lord. Maybe that's something. And I know you mentioned it, that the locker room is fractured, the locker room is broken. And a lot of that is because when you're 0-5 and you haven't won a game yet, everything gets fractured. And so you start getting a lot of that offense blaming defense or defense blaming offense. And now everybody's blaming special teams and the fans aren't happy and social media is not happy and the burners aren't happy. And everything is just going awry. Is there anyone on this staff who's capable to do what the head coach needs to do in this? And it's his job to hold this together. And when I hear, this is one of the key things for me, and I heard it today again in the press conference. We heard it in a clip earlier. He talked about how a 4th quarter, no one would have thought we were going to lose. Why are you saying that? Why? That should be an automatic. So why are you feeling the need to come out and tell us you thought you had a chance when we knew you had a chance?
Yeah, and another thing with press conferences, I don't know if you listened to the New Mexico State one post-game. It was only 2 minutes, but the first line from Longo was, when you know you're not the more talented team on a week-to-week basis, you can't make those mistakes. And when you start to say, you're not the more talented team, it sounds like the guys have lost hope.
Sounds like the head coach has lost.
Oh, yeah. I was just speaking on the locker room side.
Well, yeah, I mean, if that's the head coach's view, that we're not the more talented team, if you express that, and I'm sure he probably has at some point, if you express that to the team, yeah, you're going to lose them.
Right.
That's just not – that's not how it works. Anyway, Hey, look, hopefully they'll give us some more positive things to talk about. And before we get out of here, I do want to highlight again, that women's soccer program, that's an impressive job this year. And those ladies deserve our attention and our support right now.
Yeah, and I know it's apples to oranges, but when Coach Ayers took over in April or May, I think it was just 2 or 3 months before the season, she had 14 players on the roster on a 25-person team, and they're going to have at least a 500 season at minimum. And so I know it's apples to oranges with football, but a lot of teams have done it before. You just would like to see a little more progress with a team that's kind of starting over from scratch.
I agree. And good job, ladies. Keep the Cats going on the pitch, I guess. They call that over in Europe, right? The European football people call it a pitch. Is that
The European football people? It's like they're from a different planet or something.
It's been forever since I had thrown that in there, you know?
I know.
It's been a while, but all righty. Well, hopefully, let's enjoy this game tomorrow night. Let's if you need a drink, an adult drink, get there before 7:00. The stores are open in Texas at least until 9, so you've got some time to get there tomorrow. And let's enjoy it, and I don't know, keep some hope. Got to keep some hope. If you don't have any hope, what are you doing? So we're going to keep some hope. That's a wrap for this episode of March to the Pod, presented by Eternal Roofing. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for all the comments. We'll be back soon with more Bearcat Athletics coverage. Until then, you guys stay safe. Ben, take us home.
Yeah, eat 'em up, Cats, and gray jerseys tomorrow. Let's see what they look like.
Gray jerseys will probably look gray.